Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Aven, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor at WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me on.
Sean, what's the story with gold right now?
Gold is down a little because the U.S. dollar is up. However, gold is holding the 1900 level, which seems to, it went below that last week, but it regained it pretty quickly. So, we are seeing a downtrend in the U.S. dollar, and that's translating into an uptrend in gold. So I'm actually quite bullish. We need to see gold go up and break through recent highs, of course. But I think things are pretty good. I'm, in fact, adding new positions to Gold and Silver Trader, which is the premium publication I have. So I've added a bunch recently because, we had weakness, so I like to add stocks on weakness.
What's the position for the gold miners, the juniors?
What do you mean, what's the position?
Well, what's going on with them? Are they still, they apparently were one of the best bargains out there, and as long as the price of gold stays above $1,100, the so-called break-even point, people are saying they should be making money for you.
Yeah, well, we have plenty of the gold juniors. I like juniors, and I like silver miners most of all. So I have nothing against any of those. And I think that you could put some money to work in that area right now. Some of these stocks are still incredibly cheap. It's amazing to me, that such bargains still exist when gold is in an obvious uptrend. So, it's really weird, actually.
Well, you remember a few years ago when somebody called gold a bunch of pretty rocks that you're paying too much money for. Is that attitude still out there by some? Yeah,
well, the guy from the Wall Street Journal had to eat his words recently. He was the one who wrote that. It's like, what are you going to do, dude? Yeah, he shouldn't have said that. Well, we are hearing about more and more of the world's billionaires coming around to gold, starting to buy it, stuff like that. But it's still such early days. We are so early in this thing. That's why I think people should be actually paying more attention to it. Because by the time everybody gets all excited about this, then you'll want to actually step back and start selling some of the stuff you have.
What point do you think that is, or is this a case of hold on for the long term and enjoy the ride?
Well, I would say that, except we took a bunch of gains in Gold and Silver Trader a while back, when things, we had stops in, and stops got hit, so we were stopped out with gains, not as large a gains as we had when the stocks were higher, but still very good gains. Nice double-digit gains. We have some triple-digit gains on some options and stuff. Things went well. And so I think that you should be definitely putting money to work. There is so much opportunity in this right now. In fact, I'll be speaking at the New Orleans Investment Conference next week on the 14th. It's a virtual conference this year, so you don't have to go. You don't have to go physically. You still have to attend, but you can do it electronically. And so I'll be speaking at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 14th, and I also have a free workshop there in which I'm going to name a whole bunch of small explorers, developers, miners, streamers that people really should be looking at right now. They aren't in the headline news, but they're doing great work, and we're seeing some really well-run companies that are undervalued right now.
Is that because it's still old-fashioned? You take something out of the ground, and millennials who, if you can't do it on your cell phone, don't do it? Won't invest and take a look at gold stocks or gold miners?
We were having a discussion about that with a guy the other day. He said he was a millennial and he didn't know any millennials who own gold. They all own Bitcoin. Which case I about swallowed my teeth. You know how I feel Bitcoin. But I don't know if it's an older generational thing. I know millennials who own gold. Some of them because I gave it to them because they're my kids. But I know millennials who own gold, and I also know millennials who invest in gold miners. Those are the smart ones. Really, anyone chasing Bitcoin at this point, what is it you expect to happen in the next year that's really going to make it so much better? At this point, hasn't it become kind of brick-like? Whereas with gold, what we're seeing is we are seeing some real stress on the underlying financial system. Now, maybe people will go to electronic currency when things go haywire, if things do go haywire. But we know what's happened in the past is they've always gone to gold. So that's one of the reasons I like gold and silver. It's insurance. And the way the wackadoodles who run things around the world have been behaving, it's not just in Washington, it's other governments as well. But the way they've been behaving, you have to have something of real value in your portfolio. Because at some point, things that are paper or electronic might just turn out to be so many bits of paper or so many electrons. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, the signals for your secret code have been lost somewhere between here and Uranus. And I just realized what kind of a pun I made there as well. We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Value from success, growth, and discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, I know real estate isn't your big forte, but are people buying luxury properties or nice homes outside of cities because of ultra low interest rates or because they just don't like the high tax and sometimes violent environment of the big cities now?
Well, we've been hearing we've been hearing more and more stories that many people realizing they don't have to work in the city. So why the hell would they? So we are seeing that. And, that's definitely a big trend. I think, high cost cities should definitely keep an eye on it, because they become more and more unfriendly to working class people. And if you don't have to work in the city, why should you? If you don't have to live in the city, why should you? One more thing that I was going to point out, is that we're seeing, futures for all kind of food stuff rise and rise and rise and rise. And what's going on apparently is that China is having some serious food problems. And so their imports, let me see if I have that number somewhere. Maybe I don't. Well, they've had the worst flood since 1939. They're having an insect infestation. It's like horrible crap. And one hard asset, or I should say one commodity that we kind of snooze on is agricultural commodities. But we saw China import a lot more foodstuffs from the U.S. last year than it did the previous year. This year, could blow that record out of the water. So that's actually good news for farmers. And we'll see how that goes, as long as they can actually keep their crops from flooding and stuff. We're having a terribly wet year down here in Florida. I don't know what it's like up in Vancouver. But, keep an eye on agriculture, because I think that'll be really interesting. Speaking of real estate.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
Aven Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aven's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avenresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Has Crude made any significant moves lately?
Yeah, Crude's been having a nice time. Of course, maybe this Hurricane Delta, that's steamrolling toward Louisiana, maybe that has something to do with it, right? Because normally when hurricanes go through Oil Alley, as that part of the Gulf of Mexico is known, prices go up simply because production has to shut down. So I don't know if this is short term or what. I actually think what people might want to look at more is something that's been working out very well for my Supercycle Investors subscribers in the past 2 weeks. That is, we've been in renewable stocks, and we've been in stocks that do testing for the coronavirus. Both have gotten huge boosts recently as the odds of the election have shifted, and as the concept that this pandemic is going to drag on for much longer than many people had planned on, as that sinks in. We're seeing both those areas start to do very, very well. And so many people might think, well, the time to do plays on the pandemic is long since over. That's not true. We are seeing some excellent moves in stocks we own. I'm looking at other names in the industry that are also up well as well. So those are two groups people should look at.
I always wondered for people who live in Hurricane Alley, you always see them putting up plywood on their windows. Why don't they just make a long-term investment in steel shutters?
Hey, the same thing happens down here in Florida. I don't know why. Maybe they're renters. I don't know what the deal is. But, or else maybe they don't have the scratch. They say that half of the U.S. population is $400 away from a catastrophe. So, whether that's true or not. So, maybe they don't have the money for shutters. We have steel, and we're having storm windows installed downstairs. Doing that this year, so that then we can just look at the storm raging outside. Probably a tree will fall over and take out my house anyway. But it's nice to think about.
Yeah, if the wave's big enough, it doesn't matter how much you've put up, right? It's like when somebody says, "Oh, they should be wearing better bulletproof vests," and I said, "No, they just fire bigger bullets. Battleships have 18-inch steel walls, but they just made bigger shells with more powerful explosives and still sank the battleships." But of course, it's being prudent. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, getting household insurance for storm damage must be super expensive. And I'm wondering what all these major storms and fires in California are going to do to our insurance bills next year.
Yeah, you have to wonder about that, right? I mean, if the insurance companies pay off on them. We have insurance here in Florida, which is kind of a nightmare. I mean, we have insurance for everything, but they keep raising they raise the deductibles more and more and more all the time. So in the end, you're thinking, well, gee, how much am I going to pay out of pocket if I really get hit? So we'll see how it goes. I just wish good luck to everybody. I wish good luck to my friends in Louisiana that have that horrible hurricane headed toward them. I hope that it veers off or just blows out or something like that, so it's not really a problem. And I hope they're around to actually listen to me speak at the New Orleans Investment Conference on the 14th, because that will be fun. It is virtual, so that's another thing good about doing things virtually now. We don't have to run the risk of being in a hurricane's path, right? So,
but you will miss out on the Hurricane Cup to walk down the street with down Bourbon Street.
Yes.
Also, how has solar been doing?
Well, I mean, as I was just saying, solar's been doing extraordinarily well for our portfolio in Super Cycle Investor. We have 4 positions on it. Though one's a fund that does all kinds of renewables. We're all doing very, very well. And, it is partly the election. That is, people are starting to bet that if Biden gets in office, but it can go either way. But if he wins the White House, then there'll be more money shifted toward renewables, especially solar, stuff like that. But it's also a mega trend around the world. There are many, many places where hooking your house up to solar is as cheap or cheaper than being on the grid. And the price of electricity from the power company keeps going up every year, right? So if you can lock in your price of electricity through putting solar on your house, then you can see why many people would do it. And prices keep coming down for one reason or another. I mean, the price of solar power is getting really cheap. The price of wind power is getting really cheap now. And now they have these new storage systems. So, it actually stores it for when the wind is blowing and the sun isn't shining. So yeah, this seems to be the time for that. That is a massive mega trend. It's working out very well for us, and people should be looking at those stocks.
Sean, good luck with the investment conference on the 14th in New Orleans.
All right, thanks. You have a good one too.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, senior editor at WeissRatings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.